I was going through my closet a couple days ago and realized that it was an absolute mess. I had shirts and pants and multiple types of hangers and just stuff all over the place. It was a cluttered disaster. There was stuff I haven't worn in years, and it was just an altogether kerfuffle. I decided I needed to fix it, and that's what I did. I organized it. I bought some different colored hangers, and I got it all sorted, all cleaned out. I definitely still could do it some more, but it's at a state that I'm pretty happy with. And in doing that, it got me thinking about the topic of minimalism. Thinking, well, maybe I have too much stuff. Maybe I need to throw something out. It got me back into some old thinking on minimalism that I hadn't done in a while, which is that I believe there's a couple different ways of minimalism. And I think it's something that not a lot of people think all the way through and consider. So I hope to be able to do that to you today. So we got to start at the beginning. What is minimalism? I believe that minimalism. I believe that minimalism can boil down to, in two words, less things. Very simple. Just having less things. It's not something that's overly complicated, or it doesn't have to be, because that's the whole point of minimalism. Simplifying things, making stuff less. To define a little more, I think it's having less things to make what you do have more important. You know, it's kind of that idea of when you have too many balls to juggle, when you have too many pots of boiling water, you can't focus on any one of them. Too many cooks in the kitchen, I think is another way to say it. Where you have too many things in life to focus on, and none of them are getting your attention. If you have too many things and too much clutter in your life, you can't give attention to the important things, and it's easy for stuff to just fall by the wayside. So, the idea is that you clean it up, you clean up your life, you make stuff very simple, and that gives you more time to focus on the things that matter. And that's basically the basic boiled down idea of it. And you could leave with just that, and you could figure out how to live a better life with that. 'Cause I think everyone can benefit from just that amount of knowledge right there. But as I like to do, I like to think about things a lot. I like to, you know, boil things down and distill them to the point of insanity. When you think about a topic too much and you just beat it to a pulp. So with this one, I haven't beat it to a pulp, but there's an idea I thought about with it that I wanted to share, and that is I think there are three, however you say three, in your, I don't know, culture, whatever you call it. I know there's different ways to say three. My mind's not minimal at all, by the way. It is very much cluttered. So, there are three different ways to do minimalism, I believe. I believe there's physical minimalism, which has to do with the actual things you own. I believe there is mental minimalism, which has to do with your processes in life, has to do with the amount of things you do, amount of clutter you've added into your life. And then I believe there's a third one, which I would like to call spiritual minimalism. And while it's not technically minimalism, I think people who require minimalism in their life to improve it would greatly benefit from this third type of minimalism. So, I'm going to start at what I believe is the least important one and work up to importance from there. Starting with the physical. So, physical I think can be broken down into two. You can go for aesthetic physical minimalism or practical physical minimalism. The aesthetic is what you see a lot of influencers do. It's the expensive minimalism. It's having perfectly matching couple pieces of furniture. It's having the exact kitchen set you need. Everything the highest quality. You have one spoon, you have one knife, you have your exact cooking set. You have the highest brands of spices, so you only have one of each of them in exact glass jars. It's having the minimalism that looks good, looks very cool. That's what a lot of people online present it as. And while that definitely is an aspect of it, I think that's the show-off type that can get you caught up in thinking you have to look a certain way. And I think that's the least important of all of them. Above that, I say, and this is the easiest one to do, is practical minimalism, where it deals with the practicality of having less things. It deals with, I don't need to have, you know, 3 TV screens in my house. I only use one of them. These little ones are just taking up room. I don't need this extra chair here. This table's too big for me. I only use a small part of it. Let me get rid of it. Let me get rid of that physical clutter out of this room. I don't need to save these piles of old cassette tapes or whatever. I don't even listen to them. They're doing me no good. Piles of DVDs I can digitize. Way too many clothes in your closet that you can just, you can throw out, you can get rid of. Maybe I don't even wear red, so you just get rid of red. You may hate a certain style of dress or a certain, you may not wear hats, but you have 40 hats at home. Get rid of them. You don't need them. That's practical minimalism. And I think that is important for decluttering your life. Because, I'm not going to get into this topic too much, but Jordan Peterson talks about cleaning your room. And I think that practical minimalism, it starts with cleaning, where you clean up your stuff, you organize it. It doesn't always have to deal with throwing things out. Like my closet, I didn't really throw many, if anything, out. I organized it. I simply got a couple different color hangers from Meyer, and I put different types of clothing on different colored hangers. That way, when stuff gets hung back up in my closet, I have a little bit of a process of, oh, this goes on the white hanger. Okay, this is a hoodie. It goes on the black hangers. And it keeps my life a little more organized. Might work for you, might not work for you. If anything, I bought more things to do this type of minimalism. I bought more things to make stuff physically practical and simplified. So, I think minimalism can be simplifying things, even maybe if it means getting a little more things. At least that's the way I look at it. Now, the next one, I think, which is, it's a very important one, but I think people stop here, is mental minimalism, which I like to define as doing less things. Like, mentally organizing your life. Maybe there's a lot of different, friend groups you're part of, or a lot of different events you go to, where your schedule is just packed. There's so many things you do. There's so many little hobbies you're a part of. There's a bunch of different internet forum groups you're, posting on. Maybe you're trying to use every social media site. You're scrolling Facebook and Snapchat and TikTok, and you're trying to keep them all updated with your latest information. You're updating, all your Instagram profile pictures, and it's just like, it's too much things you're performing during the day. Clearing that out and boiling down what is actually important to you is what I believe mental minimalism is, where you get rid of the senseless drivel. You get rid of the things of, like, actions that take your time. For instance, scrolling social media. You get rid of it. It gets rid of a lot of mental garbage. You don't look at all the news every day. Keep yourself updated once a week. Maybe not even that much depending on who you are. See what's actually needed in your life. Take an exam of yourself and see what you can cut out. One way to do that is, in a previous video, I talked about different ways of meditation. I'll link that in the description below, and maybe I can even link it in the video here if I figure out how to do that. I think you can still do that on YouTube, is pop-up video links. I don't know, if I can, one will pop up right here. If not, it'll be in the description below. But in that video, I talk about using a method of a daily exam of your life to organize the things you do, to make yourself consider your actions during the day. And that's one way you can kind of, you can simplify your life. So, physical minimalism, I think, is important, because it gets rid of physical clutter in your life. The aesthetic part is nice, but I don't think it's needed. The practical part is what you have to do with, like, getting rid of physical objects and just mostly junk you don't need. That can help the mental aspect. If choosing an outfit's difficult for you, well, number one, organizing your outfits can be good, and then number two, maybe getting rid of useless outfits. It'll lessen the amount of information streaming in your head. Now, both of those are good, and I think both those are, both of the things that almost everyone should do in their life. To just sort out your life. And most people stop there. I think most people put up a wall, and after that they think that's all they need to do. is that this is their life. They organized it and they figured it out, and then they go from there. And that's good, and your life may be fine with that. But I think there's a little bit of a danger if you stop there and you don't go to the third one, which is you can get stuck in a loop. You can get stuck in a loop of life can be chaotic sometimes, and sometimes you cannot quench the chaos. Sometimes you can't stop it. You might have a medical condition that requires you to take a bunch of medicine at different times during the day, and there's no way you can simplify that, and it's just confusing. You might have family members you deal with that have, any sort of number of problems in their life, and it's just chaotic to deal with. And in those situations, you can't minimalize it. You can't do anything physical or mental. It's just chaos. So what do? That's when you turn to the third type of minimalism, which I'm calling spiritual minimalism. And it's not technically minimalism. It's not technically anything to do with minimalizing stuff in your life. It's flipping the script on minimalism. It's minimalizing the impact of things on your life. It is not letting things and objects control you. In a way, spiritual minimalism negates the first two completely. Or at least the first one, the physical minimalism. Where instead of needing to get rid of items in your life to organize it, spiritual minimalism, again, as I'm calling it, I don't know of a better name, is just not letting those objects affect you. It's being able to sit in chaos, being able to sit in a mess, and being okay. Not being affected by outside storms. Not being affected when you're in the middle of the storm. Training yourself and learning to not let life affect you. Let life crash on by and just continue on going. And I think it's the hardest one to learn, and it's one people don't think about. Because people look at the physical and the mental and think that's what they need to do. They need to physically change things in their life, and they need to mentally, change behaviors they have. But as I mentioned earlier, some things can't be simplified. There are some things in your life that are just chaotic. There are times in your life when you're just so busy, you can't simplify it. And if you believe that the only way to fix your life is to simplify it, that gets you stuck in a loop. If you believe the only thing you can do is simplify it, and you're not able to, you'll just be stuck thinking, well, I can't fix this now. But if you realize there's a third way, if you realize there's a way to not let the things affect you, to minimize the effect of things on you, that, I think, is one of the most valuable forms of minimalism you can do. It's learning to be in chaos. It's learning to be in storms, and not letting them destroy you. And there's a lot of different ways to do this that I can't cover in this video. The number one way is realizing it's possible. The first way is literally just realizing it's an option. To not have to physically get rid of things. That you can actually survive with 10,000 different shirts, and you don't have to look at them. You can look at them and pass them by and say, I'm choosing this one. I'm just going to wear white. Or whatever. It's just training and learning to let things go. One of the most important ways of that in life, though, is not being afraid of death. Not being afraid of what harm can come to your physical body. And that can only be done if you have a hope. That can only be done if you have a hope of what comes after. A hope of Jesus Christ. A hope of God. And there's no substitute for that. Your life may be chaotic to the point where you have a sickness, or you're dying, or a friend died, or a family member. And what do? Well, you have to look for truth. And the truth is that, well, we're all sinners, and we've all gone against God. Because of that, we deserve death. But God decided that He was going to have mercy on us. So He came down as the person of Jesus Christ to take our death from us, to take our punishment from us, to go to hell in our place, and to rise again on the third day. so that we can rise again with him. But we have to accept it. We have to accept his salvation. We have to accept his gift of mercy on our lives. And we have to believe it's possible. As I said with minimalism, you have to believe it's possible. If we believe in Jesus Christ, we will be saved. If you believe in him, you will be saved. And this video is to show you it's possible. To not be afraid of things like death. To not be afraid of the clutter of your life. To not have to be a subject to things and objects. That there's a hope beyond that. There's a hope beyond the grave. I have a lot of other videos on my channel talking about these subjects. And there's a lot of resources online. But start at the Bible. Start at getting on your knees and asking God for help. Asking God to simplify your life. Asking God to show you the way. Because he will. If you ask, it'll be given unto you. If you seek, you'll find it. And if you knock, God will open the door for you. So I hope you got some benefit out of this video. And Lord willing, I'll see you all later.